Hi, I'm Tati. Let's solve the mystery of the box in the woods. So this is part 2 of reading The Box in the Woods by Maureen Johnson, and I'll leave part 1 linked in the description. So like in the last video, I will be reading 10 chapters, so chapters 11 through 20, and I'll be sharing my sleuthy and spoilery thoughts as I read. So if you want to try to solve the mystery with me, you can read along and share your thoughts in the comments. So all of that being said, I'm going to start reading with chapter 11. Hi. So I'm back. I have read from chapter 11 to chapter 15, so I'm going to be sharing my thoughts on each of the chapters. So first up is chapter 11. I had a lot of thoughts about chapter 11. First of all, the fact that Carson supposedly found the box on his morning run does not make me any less suspicious that he's the one who created the box himself. However, I do think it would be an interesting angle for it to have been someone in town trying to scare them off the case. I just don't think it is. I think it's Carson. Especially since Carson doesn't want to go to the police. Though, was it Janelle's theory? Was it Nate's theory? I don't remember whose theory it was. Somebody had a theory that maybe it was like somebody who was a fan of Stevie doing it, which would have been super interesting, I think. And then the fact that Allison apologized to Stevie really convinced me that she is not behind the murders in any way. Not that she could have been, because she was 12, but she was the best suspect I had. Which, if it's not her, I guess I'm left with Sean and Paul as suspects. I also thought Allison knowing Kyoko was an interesting little twist. Okay, so thinking about the locked room mystery, big questions are, how did the paint get on the wall? How did the message get on the wall before they got there and they not notice it until after they got there? But after they got there and they had been there for a while, they should have noticed it right away if it had been painted when it was obviously painted. And the only theory that my brain can come up with is probably a dumb theory, but is there any way that a part of the wall could like flip to the outside or like turn, like a secret compartment kind of thing? Because then it could have been painted from the outside and then flipped to the inside, which I'm just now realizing doesn't make any sense because they found paint on the floor under Stevie's bed. So somebody painted it in the room. And that brings us to chapter 12, where we find out that Allison is way too organized to have made that box that Carson found, and that it is highly likely that Sabrina's diary is hidden somewhere at camp, which means that Stevie is gonna look for it. And one of my earlier theories about Allison being upset over the fact that Sabrina was sort of acting out and went out to the woods with sort of the bad kids was unfounded, because Allison said that she was never confused about why Sabrina would go out into the woods. We also found out that Allison thinks that Sean is innocent, and that I guess also by her reasoning that Paul is innocent as well, because Sean and Paul are each other's alibis for that night. But she also seems to wholeheartedly believe that Todd hit Michael. So I don't know where that leaves us in terms of both suspects and motive for the murders. And then chapter 13, I do wonder if that order form is going to come back around in some way later on in the story. And then we also had a bit of a rehashing of the fact that Diane, Todd, and Eric had all been struck on the head and then killed, and that Sabrina was the only one who had defensive wounds and had not been struck. So she was the only one who was not incapacitated before being stabbed. But the question is, what does that mean? Does it mean that Sabrina surprised her attacker? Or maybe does it mean that the murderer was hesitant to kill her? I'm not sure. Now, when it comes to chapter 14, I have no idea what Dylan stuffing a hot dog roll into his mouth made Stevie realize. And then chapter 15, where I find out I was right from the beginning about Carson being behind the message on the wall and the box in the woods. Not the box in the woods, but the box he found. And that actually makes me feel really good that I figured out that little part at least. But I seriously had no idea how he had done it. And I am really glad that Stevie has drawn a line between herself and Carson. And that's where I'm at right now. I will be reading some more, obviously, and I will be back with my thoughts at the end of this video after I read chapter 20. Hi. So I am back after finishing chapter 20. So here are all my thoughts from chapters 16 through 20. So Stevie gave Allison the note from the art pavilion, and she definitely seemed to notice something about it. I don't know if she was surprised by the fact that it was from the art pavilion. Maybe Sabrina didn't usually work there, or if she was just touched that they had found something of Sabrina's. And we also found out that Sabrina is bad at typing, so I wonder if that'll come back in some way. Now, Michael died 7 months before the murders happened, which to me seems like a long time to wait to get revenge. And if Michael's father really did want justice and not revenge, then that clears him because he would have wanted Todd arrested and not killed. And I don't know if he could justify killing 3 other teenagers along with him. The only member of the Penhill family I'm not 100% sure of is Michael's mom. However, I don't know if she could have killed 4 teenagers. And we keep hearing about it feeling personal and local and the remoteness of the spot, so it has to have been someone living in town. And then in chapter 17, all we really got was Stevie checking out the locations of both Michael's and Greg's accidents. And then at the end of chapter 18, we find out that Allison has died, which I was not expecting at all. Though, like, how and why? So, chapter 19, I'm still wondering why. What is the motive behind killing Allison now, at this time? Because there's no way it was a coincidence, but what is the motive? And then the fact that Stevie's phone can't locate her when she's in the woods is absolutely terrifying. So Allison fell screaming over the cliff, and the witnesses are sure that they didn't see anyone push her. So how does she fall off the cliff? She ran that path every single day. There is no way she just tripped and fell on her own. So maybe somebody was chasing her. And then we finally get to chapter 20, which is the interview with Susan. Susan also believes wholeheartedly that Todd is guilty, and playing Stairway to Heaven on the guitar keeps coming up in their stories. And I don't know if it's a very specific detail, and I don't know if that means that it actually happened or if they came up with a cover story. Also, according to Susan, Sabrina's diary is not in her old cabin. And that is it for part 2 and this video. And I think I'm honestly more lost than I was at the end of part 1. I still have no idea who did it or why, and I honestly thought I would have more of a clue by now. Right now, my thoughts are focused on Allison. I feel like figuring out what happened to her is sort of the key to cracking the case. There's the theory that it was because she was seen talking to Stevie, but a lot of people in town have been talking to Stevie. My main theory is that maybe Allison figured something out from that slip of paper that Stevie gave her, and maybe she confronted someone about it, or maybe she asked questions about it or told the wrong person about what she had found, though I have no idea what it was that she could have figured out from the craft supply request form. Anyway, I guess if I have to pick like a main suspect, the only one I've really mentioned in this video is Michael's mom. But that makes even less sense than my Allison theory last video. Anyway, if you are reading along and trying to figure out the mystery with me, let me know your thoughts in the comments and your theories and anything else. I'm going to be making one more video in this series where I finish up reading the last 10 chapters of this book and we finally put together all the pieces of the mystery and see if we can figure out who done it before it's revealed at the end. So give this video a like and subscribe if you'd like to see more. Thanks for watching. Bye. And I will see you in the next one. It's also the end of the day now, so if my makeup has gotten shiny. That's why I'm really confused. How do I convey that? First of all, the fact that Carson I need my finger quote. Okay, bye.